Brothers, gather round, from the streets did she emerge, and to the streets she shall return. And I say unto thee, she belongs to the streets, so be not weary when she must return from whence she came. This is the modern woman in a nutshell, and I am here to preach to you guys the importance of knowing a woman's past. This video is not just for the relationship guys, hope strategists, and the sucker for love ninjas. Oh no, all men should be aware of the women they choose to lay with past, because that information might be the difference between life and death. Knowing a woman's past can save you millions of dollars in future earnings, and knowing a woman's past can keep you from being locked behind bars and catching the itchy scratchy. If you choose to deal with women at any point in your life, then it is crucial that you know what she has done with her body and the decision she's made to determine whether or not you should engage or disengage. You see, only a monkey simp would overlook or flat out ignore a woman's past, mainly because he's desperate or he's been led by his Johnson. Trust me, gents, you do not want to be in either position, because at some point, all the BS she did will start to surface in a relationship, and guess who will have to deal with the skeletons in her closet? That's you. She will dump all of her past mistakes and trauma on your lap. And depending on what she did, you may feel the effects of her past mistakes for years, decades, or your entire life. You do not want to be in this position, and you never want to utter the words, "If only I knew." Sadly, many men end up in that exact situation only to have to live with regrets because they blindly trusted their woman. So I am here to tell you that you must research and find as many details about your girl's past as possible, even if you have to hire a private investigator. Let me give you a quick story of what happened to me a few months ago. A girl I used to mess with came back to where I lived to visit her family, and we started catching up on what's been going on in our lives since the time gap when we hadn't seen each other. So I asked her a few questions about what she had been doing sexually, because I'm not going to lie, I was thinking of clapping her cheeks again, so I wanted to know what she was doing since the last time I beat up that wet vice grip. She was vague about it, and I didn't press her about it for whatever reason. So she linked me some days after, and I knew she wanted to give up the cheeks, and I wanted it because I was on monk mode for 10 months. I was ready to bust and release the pent-up frustration, so I went in for the kill. I remember she was a bit hesitant, which was not like her, but I shrugged it off as she was playing hard to get, and I kept on pressing and pressing until she told me to shift her panty and slide it in. Now at that moment, I had two options. Option 1 was to go and get a rubber and dig out her guts, or option 2 was to slide it in Roski and pull it out before I nutted. Which one did you think I chose? Put a 1 in the comment section if you think I went for the rubber, or put 2 in the comments if you think I slid it in raw. Before I reveal what I did, let's jump ahead to the next day. So I texted her the next day, and my dumb self started to ask the tough questions after I got the stupid juice out of my system. In the texting back and forth, she told me she had been seeing yellow discharge in her menstrual flow. My geez, I started to panic, and long story short, she told me she was in these streets getting tapped out by older men, married men, young dudes her age, and a long list of casual flings. Needless to say, I instantly regretted my decision, so I gave her money to go to the doctor, and she basically told me BS. Nothing she said was hinting at anything wrong. So I had to wait 3 months to get tested for the worst of the worst diseases, and thankfully, your boy dodged all the STIs. I was lucky, gents, but I could have caught something because I was not thinking clearly at that moment, and if you guessed that I used a rubber, you would be incorrect. I went in raw and literally gave her the 5-stroke special missionary style. I doubt I lasted 2 minutes, and before you guys laugh and say I'm bad in bed, I hadn't gotten any sleep in 10 months, so cut me some slack. I would have regretted it more if I had caught something, and my last memory was the 5-stroke special missionary style. So take it from me, ask the tough question up front before you slide in her pea sleeve. But before you do that, you have to get the stupid juice out of your system, or you won't even get to the tough questions because you'll be too busy fantasizing about how you'll degrade her. God is good, that's all I'm going to say. With that said, you must be wondering how you should vet modern women. Well, it's simple. The first thing you should do is make a mental note of all the tough questions about her past you want to ask her and try your best to remember them. The second thing you should do is get the stupid juice out of your system. Whether you want to jag off to prawn or beat up some low-hanging fruit's pea sleeve, get the venom out a couple of hours before you meet her. Then when you meet her, start a regular conversation and then jokingly, or just by the flow of the conversation, begin to ask her the tough question about her past. Watch her response and try your best to remember what she says so you can catch her when she's lying. Do not approach her seriously or press her too much to get the information. Just keep it light and playful and try to learn as much as possible. I wouldn't recommend this, but if you are sneaky enough, put your phone on record and record the conversation. Again, I don't recommend doing this, but that's another option. Do that at your own risk. If you're already dating her and you're thinking about proposing, the first thing you should do is hire a private investigator. Then the second thing you should do if she's clean is to have the talk about the prenup before you buy the engagement ring, so you know where she stands. And if she agrees to do the prenup, then you can propose. That's some free game right there. Tap the like button for me, guys, and get this video to 500 likes. With that said, I found a story online in a newspaper called The Star, and the section of the newspaper is called Tell Me Pastor. We're going to go over a story from a young Gen Z woman titled, Embarrassed About My Promiscuous Past. Let's hear what this young lady had to say. Dear Pastor, I am 23 and left my parents' home when I was 16. My mother used to have lots of men coming to her there. A couple of times I heard a man beating my mother and accusing her of having sex with another man, although he was supporting her. She told him she couldn't take it anymore, so he shouldn't return. He did not come back for about 2 weeks, but when he showed up, my mother received him as if nothing had happened. I started to bounce from place to place, and I made money by selling myself. I learned from my mother to have older men. I tried younger men, but I was always disappointed in them. I lived with a man who could have been my grandfather. I was tired of the rough life. So Gents, she came from a home with a 304 mother. How common is that these days? And what does she turn to in order to survive? Most of them decide to sell that wet vice grip. Didn't I tell you they were over on the Soul Society selling your souls? It's messy out here in these streets, brothers. But it goes to show you that when all else fails, a man is their backup plan. Let's continue. This man had children who were older than I was. They knew I was sleeping with him because we were all in the same house. I told him I wanted to go back to school, but he told me he couldn't help me with that. So I stayed with him for 7 months, and he taught me to cook. One day I met another man. He said he was in his 30s. When I went home, I told the man I was living with about him. He told me I could go if that was what I wanted, but I should return if I wasn't happy with the guy. This guy told me he did not have a girlfriend or children. I went to live with him, but one day a woman came and asked for him. She asked him who I was, and he told her I was a friend. She told me she was his baby mother. I asked him, in front of the woman, why he lied about not having children. She told me he had other children, so I went back to stay with the older man. After that, I kept going from man to man. Damn, she's riding the hell out of the CC. It's tough out here in these streets, and women think they can just level up to a better situation, but they quickly learn the hard way that it's not as easy as they envisioned. Not only that, older men are winning with these young girls. When these old gremlins tell you that these young girls don't want you, it's BS. Once you have stability, you're in decent shape, and you have some money, you can get these young girls. And typically, women who say they like older men or prefer older men mean that they tried out a lot of young guys and a lot of older men to be able to make that distinction, so keep that in mind. If she says she likes older men, it means she's been in these streets messing with older men. Also, older men tend to have a kid or kids. So for the 2 women watching this video who want to date older men with money, they may not want more kids because they already have kids. Anyways, let's continue. One day I got a job in a store. The owner was married but told me he was in love with me. I learned how to use the computer and how to operate the cash machine. The boss and I didn't get very far because he was married. He encouraged another man to have a relationship with me, who was single and living alone. That means he clapped her out a few times, came to his senses, and passed her on to the next man. I bet that's what happened. Continuing. I went to live with this man and am still living with him. However, he constantly questions me about my past, and I can't tell him the truth because my past is not good. He told me that all his children are in the United States with their mother. I love him, but I am afraid to tell him about my past. He is helping me to go back to school. He is not afraid to go out with me, but I am always nervous because I am worried that some of the guys I slept with would see me with him and call me. Well, there you have it. Even she is ashamed of her past. Look, gents, women know right from wrong, and that's why they are fighting so hard to get rid of shame. Because they know men won't take them seriously if they have a past. Their chances of surviving will decrease significantly the less man that wants to wife them up. That is why you must not overlook their past or forgive them for their past. Hold them accountable so they learn that their decisions carry consequences. This woman knows if she tells him she's for the streets and he leaves her, she will have to start back from scratch and ride the CC all over again before she finds another man like him, and she doesn't want that, especially with him sending her back to school. Gents, I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers on my channel. I only need 15 more of you guys to go and subscribe. So I'll link the channel in the description and pinned in the comment section so you guys can show me some support and subscribe to achieve our goal of 1,000 subscribers before December. I appreciate all of you. By the way, never, and when I say never, never send back a woman to school or pay for her education. She'll leave you for a better man when she graduates and levels up. I've seen it play out countless times. Do not do it. Keep her at the same level you met her, and if she wants to improve herself, let her pay for her education. At least she'll appreciate it more. Let's continue. I have never gotten pregnant, and this man told me he didn't want to get me pregnant because he didn't want any more children. I lied and told him that I didn't want to have any children. Honestly, I want to have at least one. I have cheated on every man I have met except this one because he takes good care of me. Should I tell him the truth? Sometimes I want to, but I am afraid. Well, gents, she cheated on every man before this guy, and trust me, she will cheat again. This is not the last time she'll cheat. Even you guys who get married or go into long-term relationships, your woman will cheat. Highly likely your wife or girlfriend will have sex with another man, and that's just the cold truth. So if you think once you commit, you're going to be the last man your partner gives access to their body, you're delusional. Women cheat the same, if not more than men, especially in their prime, and this girl backs up my point. The moral of the story is to not commit or slide your salami into women until you know their past. On the screen is our Season 4 RP video that I know you'll enjoy, so click the video on the screen right now to get some good laughs and information.